the first thing I want to cover, more important, is the sales part of the recruitment side and how we will get clients to agree working with us. I think that's where you guys will have the most doubt. That's where you will think, will clients even work with us? And by the way, the sales process is massive, and I can't cover everything in 1 hour, but I can hopefully give you some snippets and make you feel a lot more comfortable in when you're making these calls, and make you feel like it's not going to be that hard, and there clearly is light at the end of the tunnel, which there is. So let's understand firstly, why do companies even want to use us as a recruitment company? Why do companies want to use us, right? There are several reasons. One of those most important being they don't have time. It's extremely time consuming for a company to do the hiring process themselves. And for example, what do I mean by that? I mean, imagine a company now has to go over 100 or 200 CVs, read each CV, organize interviews, find out which one is good, and each conversation tends to last about 15, 20 minutes with a candidate, for example, right? So companies don't really have that much time to find the right people. And so they come to recruitment companies. And the other thing is, when you use a recruitment company, you want the best people. You want the best people to work for your company. Anyone in business knows, if you want your company to do well, if you want your organization to do well, you want the best people working for you. Now, let's say, for example, you have a company, you set up your own company, and you say, right, well, I'm not going to use recruitment companies. I'm just going to do the hiring process myself, right? But then, Arshia, you've got a company, and you say, I'm going to use a recruitment company, and I'm going to do hiring process myself, for example. The chances of Arshia finding better candidates is much higher because she's going through multiple avenues to find her candidates, right? To find people to work for her. Now, that obviously works because, again, you will only have a pool of a small amount of candidates, and Arshia has much bigger candidates. And in recruitment that we know, most of the people that are looking for work are not actively looking for work. And so, for example, if someone calls you today and says, Faisal, I've got a good job for you, it's going to pay 5 lakhs, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be that, you'll be interested, right? Very normally, you'll be interested, but you might not be actively looking. You might not be actively trying to apply to jobs, right? So how does a company who doesn't have access to a recruitment company, how do they get access to you, right? They will have your name on their database. They might go on a job board and they might go 2 years back, 3 years back, call you and say, what's your updated experience, etc., etc. So the point is, we have much larger pools, we get access to much more CVs. Not only that, it's time consuming, and in essence, sometimes we are saving cost as well because these companies will have to use internal recruiters, right? When you use an internal recruiter, we will get access to at least 5 or 6 job boards. Job boards are basically databases where you have all the CVs and everything like that. So the point is, we have access to a lot of CVs, okay? That's number one thing of why companies are even using us as a recruitment company to do business for them. It's important to understand that, because then when you're actually calling them or calling companies, never feel like you're asking them for something. Every single time you're calling someone, you should feel like you're doing them a favor. It's very important to feel like that. If you call them and you're like, can we please do work together, for example, can we please do something together, it's never going to come across well. Having said that, a sales pitch which I like to use a lot, and again, it's something which you guys have been using, is I have an engineer, he's looking for work. Maybe he's been made redundant, maybe he's in a difficult position, but he's got really good experience, etc., etc. I'm trying to get him some work. Any chance you're looking for someone, right? Now, this script, you're not requesting anything. You're not asking for something. In essence, you're saying, I'm doing this guy a favor, and he could be really good for you, so I'm doing you a favor. You're doing them a favor, right? Sales is not about coming across as if you need something. As soon as you come across like you need something, it's not a good sales call. You're doing the candidate a favor and the client a favor. And that client, when they're speaking to you, will respond in that way. And they will say something like, oh yeah, I completely understand. Oh, okay. Oh, that's so sad. Oh, no problem. But they will not come across like, take us off the database. Or why would they say that? Imagine a client saying to you, take us off the database, when we're saying we're helping a candidate find some work, and we just want to see, I know it's a skill set that you guys use, so is this something that you need right now? And the client says, take us off your database. You'd be like, what or not? It's extremely rare now for that client to say something like that. Having said that, if you say to the client, I'm a recruitment company, I work with engineers, I just wanted to see if this is something that you guys need sometimes. Now all of a sudden, if the client says, take us off your list, you can understand why. What are you giving to them? You don't even have a product to give to them, right? So you're in essence saying to these companies, we don't have a product or a service for you, work with us, right? So again, it's not going to sound very good, it's not going to look very good. So a lot of these companies have objections, of course they do. The one thing we have to understand is, as long as we're making enough calls, we're going to get business, 100%. Have you guys not had that already, where you've called companies and they've said, yes, we need someone, right? So the point is that we need to make, as long as we're knocking on enough doors, we're going to get companies saying yes. But the more important thing is, we need to make sure that we're doing the best calls possible to increase the chances of us getting even more business, right? Because this is what now, the recruitment process, this is what it's about. We were just doing lead generation. Now we're going to do a lot more of the sales and a lot more of the cold calling. And tomorrow, I will sit with you guys, you call, I will call, we'll do it together, right? But the point is this: when we're calling these companies now, the company says, yes, we might need someone, right? It is very important, because now we're looking to make money from these companies. It's important to know whether these companies will actually pay us. Okay, what do I mean by this? Let's say a company says, yes, I need an engineer. And I ask a question like, okay, what's the salary? And they say £30,000. I ask another company and they say, yes, we need someone. And it's the same job. Let's say they're both electrical engineers. Electrical engineer. Yes, I need someone, £30,000. Yes, I need someone, he says £40,000. And I come back and I say, you guys speak to me and you say, listen, amazing, I've got two clients and they both want people, £30,000 and £40,000. We have an issue now. Let me explain. Are we actually going to make money with these companies? We don't know. And how do we find out? I'll tell you. If the company turns around and says, we need to ask these questions, how long have you had this job on for, and how long have you been looking for this person, right? And the client says, by the way, you don't need to take notes as such, just take it in, and then tomorrow, we'll go over it again and again. Like, this isn't the only time we're gonna go over it. So let's say the company now says, we've been looking for 3 months, okay? And is this out with other agencies already? This is a question I would ask. And the company says, yes, it's out with 2 other agencies. All of a sudden, I'm going to be, alarm bells are going to be ringing, and I'm going to be thinking, well, 2 other agencies couldn't find you someone. It's been 3 months. Clearly, it's not that urgent, right? Clearly, you're not that serious in finding someone, right? Now, if another company turns around and they say, yes, I haven't even had the chance to tell recruitment companies, we need someone to start as soon as possible. I've just had the sign off 2 days ago. All of a sudden, I'm going to be thinking, right, now I have a good opportunity to make money here, right? So out of the 2 jobs now, where do I prioritize? Of course, I prioritize with the one that is saying that it's as soon as possible, it's not with recruitment companies, etc., etc. Now, if you don't know that information, you're blind, right? You're going to come and you're going to say, yep, I've got 5 jobs, but the reality is you don't know which job is you're going to make money and you're not going to make money. So you need to ask these questions in terms of, how long have you had the job on? How long have you been looking for this person? What is the reason? What is the difficulties? What is the reason that you can't find this person? What's the issues you're having? The other recruitment companies can't find someone. Why do you think they're not finding someone? Why do you think they're failing? Have you had any interviews? Maybe the client's just too lazy and they're not doing any interviews. These are things we need to know, right? When we know these things, we can then plan how we're going to make money much better. Look, if it means that you get 10 companies now, and all 10 companies are like, we've been looking for people for 3 months, 4 months, right? and nothing seems, I call these jobs flaky jobs. They're not proper jobs, right? You're not going to make money next month, basically. If they're flaky jobs, then I would continue calling. Because remember, there's two parts now. You're going to call, and as soon as you get a client that says, for example, we need someone as soon as possible, we started looking 2 days ago, then I would say, stop what you're doing and start finding candidates for that client. Because we don't want to wait. Let's say it's a Thursday, and the client says, oh, I was going to tell the recruitment companies to start looking from Monday, right? Now we have 3 days to send CVs to the client where we can be ahead of all the other recruitment companies, where the client comes in on Monday and we've sent them 5 CVs, 5 good applicants who are good for their company, and they don't even need to go to other recruitment companies, right? But obviously then that might mean that we stop doing the sales calls and the client calling and the calling and find the candidates. Does that make sense? Okay, so it's important for us to make sure that now we're getting a lot more information from the clients. That's very, very important. And now, the other side is, we are selling to the client, but we're also going to be selling to the candidate. So the client says, yes, it's £30,000 a year. Yes, it's an electrical engineer job. And we ask these questions about, oh, when did you start looking and when do you need someone, et cetera, et cetera. And they say, they gave us the information. Now we go to the candidate. And the candidate says, I'm working right now. It's £30,000. Right, well, do they have a hybrid position? Can I work from home? And we're like, oh, I don't really know, right? I'll have to ask that question. What's the holidays like? What are the extra perks? Okay, because remember, we're selling to the client. Once we get the client to agree to work with us, which we will, and as you guys have seen, clients do agree to work with us. So that's clearly something that is fine. We need to make it better, but it works. Now we need to go to the candidate and sell the job to the candidate. Because if someone comes to you now and says, Faisal, pays the same, but it's an extra 2 hours and you have to travel another half an hour, you're going to say, what's the point? I'm not going to do that, right? But if someone comes to you and says, the pay's the same, it's a hybrid position, it's around the corner, and there's more holidays, for example, you'll be like, oh, okay, tell me more. So the point is this. When you're speaking to the clients, it's important to understand what are the perks, what are the extra things that they offer? Have they recently had a holiday, as a team holiday? What do they do during their Christmas break, right? It's important to understand these things. And if the client is getting irritated at all, at any point, you want to say, look, my part of the job is to find you the best candidate possible, and I'm trying to get as much information from you as possible so I can find the best person. So work with me so I can find the right person. When you're working with the client and when you come across from the avenue of work with me, I am not a separate business, we are one, and you will understand how I do this very subtly, that I will not say things like, I need to find the right candidate for you, or I am going to find someone for you who fits your company. I always refer to us as we, because I say we're working together to find you the right person. I do this always with my clients. And my clients now feel like I'm part of their business, and that's important. When they feel like I'm part of their business, then they'll call me 7 o'clock in the night and they say, we need someone, in the next 2 days. But they won't call a recruitment company, which is a business, and just say, and 7 o'clock in the night that we need someone. We want the client to be so free with us, so comfortable with us, that they can call us in the night, email us in the night and say, we need someone. So we find that information way before the client. Does that make sense? Now, there are going to be many objections like we use recruitment companies already. We have a preferred suppliers list. I'm sure you mentioned something like that. So how do you deal with that? Now, it's important for us to understand. It's like this. Faisal, what car do you want to drive right now? Tell me a car that you really like. Okay. Tell me a little bit lower car.
A Honda.
Okay, let's say a Honda Civic, right? Let's say you're in the market for a Honda Civic. Someone calls you on your phone and says, Faisal, I've got this Honda Civic. And now imagine you've got the money as well. You've got the money, you're looking for a Honda Civic, you're in the market looking for this Honda Civic. And someone calls you and says, Faisal, I've had this Honda Civic come available. I've bought a new car. I'm looking for someone else to take ownership of this Honda Civic. Would you at least not be interested?
I would.
You would at least listen to that person, right? We are not selling something that the client doesn't need or doesn't want. We're selling something that the client needs. The client wants people. So if someone calls me today, for example, and says that I've got really good English-speaking agents and salespeople in Pakistan, Lahore, I'm going to be interested. Someone calls me and says that, I'm going to say, tell me more. At least I will say that, right? And so the point is this, when we're calling companies, never feel like, again, I come back to it, never feel like we're not doing a favor for them. We are doing a favor for them, and they need these people. So when we call and say, I've got someone who is looking for work, and this is something you guys use, by the way, right? And I will tell you guys how we will know that these guys use these people. When we say things like, these guys are people you need and you use them, so do you need someone right now? They might say, no, we don't need someone right now. That is not a problem, because the higher chance we close business is not in the first call. Actually, it's like in the fifth, sixth, or seventh call. That's usually when we close business, right? So never feel like I'm not closing business in my first or second call. I'm not expecting you guys to do that, right? But now I can say, you guys use electrical engineers. I have an electrical engineer. You might not need someone right now, but can I get an email address and the point of contact who does deal with the recruitment of that side? And I will get in touch with you guys next month and see if you need someone then. Now, first time you call and you say, it's Faisal, I'm calling from Frank Corey, or I have an electrical engineer who's looking for work, and they say, Faisal, what, who? They don't care. Now the fifth time when you call, you know what they will say? Oh, Faisal, yes, no, we don't need anything right now. What I'm saying is, who do you buy from? You buy from the people you trust, right? You buy from the people you trust. And so the first, second, third, fourth call, we're building that trust. I am me. I send a little email. We're building that relationship. Once that relationship is built, sometimes the client will just email you themselves and say, by the way, that electrical engineer you've been talking about for the last 4 months, we need someone now. So even things like now, when I'm talking about trust and building relationships and stuff like that, let's say a client says something like, we call someone, the receptionist says, oh, he's on holiday. Right, we're asking for someone and he's on holiday, he can't speak right now. Oh, okay, no problem. Where is he gone? Right? I would ask that question, by the way. And she says he's gone to Egypt. I say, all right, no problem. Hope he's having a fabulous time. Right? Now I call again, and let's say I get to speak to this individual. And let's say I don't speak to him for 2 months, right? But I will still ask the question. I'll say, Mark, by the way, how was Egypt? He'll be like, oh, how does this guy know I went to Egypt? Right? So we're building trust, we're building relationships, and it's important when we're making these calls that we're building on these things.